When it comes to B2B lead generation, you often find yourself overwhelmed by lots of different options and services. You have access to too much information to such an extent you no longer know which solution is the best for your company. In this video, you will find out a short list of 2 platforms which will help you to retrieve email addresses, among other things, from your prospects. Both of them are really easy to use and don't require any technical knowledge. You will discover a tutorial for each service in order to help you make the best decision. Let's dive into it. First of all, the promise of Hunter.io is to find email addresses from a company name. If you want to use Hunter.io, it's pretty simple. You have to create your account, you have to confirm your account, and finally you have access to a quick explanation on how Hunter.io works. So as an input, we need to enter a domain name. Actually, we can enter the company website, or the domain name, or the company name. All 3 of them work, but obviously the more accurate, the better. I've chosen this company, I copy, I paste it, and I've got my results. I click on Find Email Addresses, and let's see what we end up with. Obviously, to make this tutorial as fair as possible, I keep my account with the free plan. And based on this website, I can gather professional email addresses from employees, full names, job titles, phone numbers, Twitter accounts, and LinkedIn accounts. As you can notice, we don't have access to all of this data, so it obviously depends on your URL, because what Hunter.io does is to crawl the website and to look for as many information as possible. What about if we make another try? Because this company is a pretty big one, we have access to a bit less than 1,500 results. So what about if we choose this company, which is a smaller one, still an important one, but not as much as the first one. And I only have access to 21 results. It's an interesting aspect, yet an obvious one. The bigger the company, the more emails we are likely to get, and the smaller the company is, the less efficient Hunter.io will be. If we take a closer look, we can see that we have access to a bit more than just professional email addresses. We can also get information regarding companies. We can get a description, social media links, industry, addresses of headquarters, and technologies used on the website. Here is our description, social media links, and technologies below. Same thing for that one, but we don't have access to any description, the address, and technologies. Another important thing to notice is that you don't have to directly input all the data, all the comprehensive data sets, because you can filter out your results beforehand. You've got 3 kinds of filters: a type filter, a department filter, and a show only results with filter. To begin with, you can decide whether you want to get personal or generic email addresses. A generic email address is a role-based email address. On the other hand, a personal email address is a professional personal email address, meaning an email address related to an individual. We can perfectly draw a parallel. This is a personal email address. This is a generic email address. Generic, personal, generic, personal, personal, and so on. So I can simply say that I want to get generic email address, I apply filters. Same thing with the department filter. It could come in handy if I want to target any specific individuals, any professionals, decision makers in a specific department. I might want to target finance and IT. I apply filters. Finally, I can also want to get other means of contact. So if I want to get professionals with an email address and the phone number, I can do something like this. And if we take a look, it sounds like our filter works perfectly. Thanks to Hunter.io, we have seen that we can identify email addresses based on a company name as an input, but we can also identify email addresses based on an individual name as an input. So this is something much more specific. In other words, you can guess the email address of someone you know who works for a specific company. All I need to do is to click on Find by Name. I type its name, and if I'm not mistaken, I will get a result. Something you might have wondered is, what is the meaning of these numbers, of these percentages? Well, this is what we call a confidence score. And the higher the confidence score, the higher the likelihood your email will be fully delivered. You've got two options. You can get a shield icon, meaning your email address has already been verified. On the other hand, you can also get a colored dot, in which case you can verify your email manually. Et voila! Let's assume you've got everything you need. You can export your data. The thing here is that you cannot export a CSV file unless you've got a premium plan. What I can do instead is to save my lead. So I click on Save Lead, and it will be displayed within the Leads tab. Here we go, and if necessary, I can create a new list in order to better identify my leads. The last thing you can do, it's not really convenient, but still you can do it, is to copy and paste email addresses. One last thing you might be interested in is that there is a Chrome extension related to enter.io. And to be honest, it's way more useful than I initially thought. This Chrome extension simplifies your requests. It prevents you from directly copy and paste a website URL. It might sound silly, but in the long run, it's a total waste of time. What you can do now is simply to turn on your Chrome extension every time you visit a new website. There is another way for you to scrape email addresses from companies, and this is to scrape leads from Google Maps. If you know Google Maps well, you are going to tell me that you cannot scrape email addresses from Google Maps. You only have access to phone numbers. And to some extent, you are right. But thanks to the platform I'm going to talk about, we can get both. We can get information from Google Maps plus information from websites shown on detailed pages from Google Maps. And this is the promise of Scrub.io. With Scrub.io, we promise you can turn Google Maps into a leads machine by simply specifying an activity and the location. You have access to a quick demo below, but I think it will be a more suitable example to directly show you what your future Excel file should look like. If you want to use Scrub.io, you can simply type Scrub.io in your search bar, or you can click the link in the description. We first need to create our account. Once it is done, you have access to your dashboard. I invite you to click on it, and it's the most important tab of the software because it is a tab in which you will be able to retrieve your leads based on two pieces of information. The first one is the activity, meaning you can pick up an activity among the 4,000 different categories listed on Google Maps. Let's say you want to choose a bakery, for example. You can choose another country. And if I click on search, I will be able to select all bakeries from this country. You can even filter your data out a bit more precisely. For example, I can choose a specific state. This is what we call a level 1 division. It's simply because a level 1 division depends on which country you picked up. Same thing with a level 2 division, which is a county in our case. I can also simply type a city. If I want to get bakeries in New York, I type New York, I've got New York, I click on search, and it will update my results. The good thing about Scrub.io is that you can filter your data out even more beforehand. If you click on filter, you can see that you've got two different kind of filters, essential and advanced ones. I might want to target bakeries as a main activity and not as secondary activities. Do I want to get closed companies? Maybe not. Companies with a website, with phone numbers, with an email, with social media links. I also might want to know whether the company has claimed its business on Google Maps. What about the price range? Because obviously a McDonald's restaurant is not the same as a luxury one. I can do a similar thing with the rating, the number of reviews, and the number of pictures. If I want to get, I don't know, bakeries with a pretty good rating, I can do something like this. And the last two filters are something regarding websites, meaning whether there is a contact form on the website, or ad pixels. Let's say yes, and I don't matter about that one. I click on filter and I will get an updated dataset. I've got around 97 results, which is great because thanks to the free plan of scrap.io, you can get up to 100 leads free of charge. I can click on export. If I click on advanced options, I will have an overview of all the columns I will retrieve. I can also say that I want to get the first 30 rows or something like that. It's up to you. Then I give to my export a name. I click on export, and as you can see, now I'm automatically in the My Exports tabs. You can download all your results in a CSV or Excel file. You can also update your results. All I need to do is to wait for a bit of time, and I will see you back once I've got my Excel file. What do we have here? We've got 97 data rows, which is correct. We start with basic columns. The name of the company, whether it's closed or not, the main type and all types, as we have mentioned it earlier. The website, and it's a good thing because it clearly shows us that our filters worked well. The phone number, the full address, which is divided into different subtypes, the street, the city, the postal code, the state, the level 1, level 2 division, the country, the longitude and the latitude, the link of the Google Maps detail page. We've got the email address because the company has got a website. And if the company has got a website, we'll take a look at additional pieces of information. The email address is followed by social media links. We've got the price range, review counts, review rating, review per score, the number of pictures, the URLs of some of these pictures, the occupancy, which is related to the graph you might see on your screen, whether the business has been claimed on Google Maps or not, the working hours, the characteristics, the color changes one more time, meaning now we have access to SEO fields, meaning the website title, the meta keywords, description, image generator, additional email addresses. Same thing with contact pages number 1 up to 5 contact pages. Same thing with social media links, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook. And we end up with website technologies and website ad pixels. For example, we know that this company uses Facebook ads, and that one, LinkedIn ads. To sum up, both Enter.io and Scrap.io are powerful tools for your lead generation. However, we can still identify some differences. To begin with, Enter.io is much more convenient if you want to target large companies. It's not that it's forbidden for you to use Enter.io with small companies, it's not that useful. And the reason is simple. With Enter.io, you want to identify decision makers. You want to identify specific professionals. The problem is with small companies, you don't have much decision makers. And if there are some, it might be very hard to identify them. On the other hand, if you want to target small and medium-sized companies. Companies you can find on a daily basis by just going out and walking down the street. In that case, Scrap.io is a perfect platform for you. Regarding professional email addresses, on the one hand, on Enter.io, you can get personal email addresses, whereas on Scrap.io, you can only get generic email addresses. Regarding the inputs, you can use Enter.io with a website URL, and on Scrap.io, you can get your leads based on a category and a location, from a city to an entire country. In other words, you can segment your market in a different way. Here, the main advantage of Scrap.io is that you can get your leads even if your leads don't have any websites, which is not possible with Enter.io because the website is your input. Finally, regarding the output, with Enter.io, you can end up with a CSV file with decision makers, and with Scrap.io, you can get a CSV or an Excel file related to companies with no or little presence on the internet. This is the end of the video. I hope you have enjoyed it. If it's the case, you can give a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. And if you want to make use of Scrap.io, you can click the link in the description, and by creating your account, you can get 100 leads free of charge. See you next time.